G'day, welcome to another episode of Car Life Coast and Country. My name is Sean, and on today's episode we're going to put a kit through my Holley carburetor. So this is my Holley carb off my Falcon. I've got a 1977 XC Falcon. This is a 600 CFM, I think it's a 4160 is the sort of model of it. It only has the front metering plate on it, and so where fuel comes in, it has this fuel rail at the back. No metering plate on the secondaries. So I'm pretty certain it's classed as a 4160. So from a bit of lack of use, it has started to just weep fuel, and last time I started the car it just wasn't running right, and I think a mix of just lack of use more so than anything. So I'm going to pull it apart. I've bought a kit that's been delivered. This should have all the gaskets I need on it, so it should be as simple as just tear it down, clean it all up as we go, and put the new gaskets in. So let's do this. So this is the front of the carb. So this is the primary side, secondary side. Excuse me if I get some of the terminology of this wrong. I'm not an expert with these. I have done a carby kit before, and they're not that difficult. It's just mainly cleaning everything up, cleaning all the gaskets off and replacing all the gaskets, a few O-rings, that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we'll start at the primary side. So there's 4 screws at the front, and this will pull the front off. So when we pull this front primary off, this connection, which is the fuel line between the primary and the secondary, there's an O-ring in here, so we just need to obviously pull this out, and this will disconnect at the same time. The way I believe it works, fuel will fill up in the bowl, and because fuel is coming through here, so when the float raises to the level that you've set, that will stop the fuel coming in. Same setup on the secondary. So I'm going to clean up all this, clean all this out. There is also, I believe it's called an accelerator pump. I could be wrong. But when I go and check in the kit, I believe we'll have a new one of those as well. So later on we'll pull that off and clean that up and put it back in as well. So we should be able to pull the tube out now. Yep. There we go, just had to get in the right spot. Or get a good tap to it. But we'll put that aside and keep that there. So I'll take the secondary side off as well. So the secondary bowl, exactly the same, basically exactly the same as the first one, as the primary. I'm going to have a good look and see what gaskets come in our kit before we take all this off. I know the blue one will definitely be replaced, and I'm assuming this will be too. But we might open up our kit now before I go any further, just to check. Comes with this warning label, which I'd never heard of before, but cancer and reproductive harm. And then there's a website from I think it was California when we looked at it. So something to be aware of. The body and the base can come off. If I undo those screws, 7, 8. I should probably do that since we're here as well. So I'll take this secondary pump, can't remember exactly what it's called, but we'll take this off as well. So again, I'll have to check the kit, but sometimes they come with replacements of them, but if not, I'm okay with that. And one thing I'd never noticed before, so I knew there was no choke on mine, on this one, but never actually looked that close, that someone's put, I don't know what in, but some goo to seal up where the choke would have come through. Alright, so we've cleaned up everything the best we can, and the next thing I've done is, let me just put this over here for a moment, is we've gone through all our bits and pieces and found the right base gasket. So I kept the old one and was able to just overlay, and there were like 4 of these to choose from, which must be slightly different makes. So some have 4 holes here, some have 2, and then different thick widths of these. So this one here matches up perfectly with this one, which is the old one. So put that aside, so I know that that's definitely the one I'm using. Off camera, I just pulled this off as I was cleaning everything up. This goes on the primary side. I think it's called an accelerator pump. We'll go that way. And the reason I pulled it off is I found we had one in the kit as well, so we'll pull that off, make sure it's all clean, and then we've got all the other bits and pieces of gaskets and needles and seats and everything as well. So the needle and seat on each primary and secondary is in here, so I will pull those off in a sec as well. So I think first thing to do is we'll swap this over, and then we'll pull a needle and seat out, and yeah, just sort of work our way through, more or less starting the put back together stage. So the old way of doing it, and I don't know if this still is the right way, but we're going to start with this anyway, is to turn it upside down like I've done, and then get the float to sit parallel when it closes off. And then we'll lock that down there as our starting point. And that'll be thereabouts. And then when we put it on the car and get fuel to it, we'll undo this, and then basically we can adjust this up and down to get the fuel level just at this point here. So you don't want it pouring out of here, but you want to see a little bit of fuel just here, and that tells you that the float level is at the right spot. So I think now I should be able to start putting the base and the main body back together. Alright, now when I pulled this apart, it had this gasket on here that I was really concerned about because I couldn't find one on the new one. But when I pulled everything out of the kit, I did find one, so we're right to go. But when I was cleaning up out there on the ends here, these have gaskets as well, obviously, to stop fuel leaking out there. So these were the old ones. So again, just making sure I get the right sizes for when these go on. There we go. All right. Ah. Oh, there's a problem. Don't forget to put your fuel line on either. Glad I thought of that at the right time. So I took out before these O-rings that were sitting on top, sitting over it. So our kit comes with O-rings as well. So there are 2 new O-rings to replace those ones. Okay, so we've got new seals all there, new seals all there, new seals there. What we might do is just pull out these and put new seals on them. I'm going to obviously check that pretty quickly too before we get too far away starting the car. But alright, so let's flip him on his side. We can now put this back on. Well, there we go, guys. That's how to rebuild a 600 CFM Holley Carby. Like I said earlier, I needed to do this just to replace some of the gaskets and that because of leaking a little bit of fuel. And it was gummed up a bit, so I wanted to sort of flush it all out as well. So we've done that. I'm confident now I'll be able to put it back on the car and get the car going. But that's all we've got in this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. That'd be awesome. And we'll catch you next time. God bless.